Welcome back into the program, the lunch break. We've got you till 12:30 here today. If you want to join the conversation, want to get anything off your chest, the Suns, the Diamondbacks, the Cardinals, whatever it may be, the phone number for you to join us, 480-864-1060. And you can also catch us on the live stream on YouTube, KDUS AM 1060 over there. The Diamondbacks, obviously, our big story. We are going to dive into the Cardinals and them being 1-5 since the bye. This is where being a radio host is a challenge because you have the Diamondbacks making a big move. You have the Cardinals completely falling on their face once again, 1-5 since the bye week. We'll talk about that in about 15 minutes or so. And then there are the Phoenix Suns, who 31 games into the season are outside of the top 10 in the NBA playoff. Wouldn't even be in the play-in tournament if it were played today. And this isn't just cherry-picking a small sample size. We are nearly 40% of the way through the season. I ran the math. They've played 31 of 82. That's 38%. We are nearly 40% through the season. And the Phoenix Suns are not a playoff team as we sit here today. You want to understand how dire things have gotten for the Phoenix Suns and why the alarm bells should be going off, why it is time to panic? Their playoff odds before the season started, according to ESPN, 62.5%. You know what they are today as we're sitting here? 29.2%. Sound the alarms. Start to panic. The Phoenix Suns are a mess. The Phoenix Suns are a dumpster fire right now. They are 7-13 this season when all three of the big three are not playing, meaning somebody's out. One of them is out. Two of them are out. If the big three are not all on the court together, all three of them, the team is 7-13. 6 games below 500. Remember, I just told you they've played 31 games this season. 20 of those 31, so more than half, have come with at least one member of the big three sidelined. Doesn't this feel like exactly what we were doing a year ago? And I don't know how to continue to try to wrap this conversation up and present it to you differently. This team has a problem. The way to fix the problem is to make one of two decisions. To either commit to see this through, you're not trading for Jimmy Butler. There are not a lot of moves that you can make with the limitations that are on you as a second apron team. You have to take the big three for what they are, good, bad, ugly, and see this through, or you have to swallow your pride. You have to admit that the experiment didn't work and that you need to blow this up. Now, the problem with that is there appears to be zero indication that that thought is even remotely on the table. And I said this, and hopefully most of you followed along on the social media content that we put out last week while we were off on KDUS AM 1060 on all the socials. I made this point. It is incredibly easy. Now, this isn't a knock, but it's incredibly easy when you take over as the new owner and your first big move is to make a big splash and trade for Kevin Durant, and then in that offseason go out and get Bradley Beal. It is super easy to get the fan base on board, to get the fan base excited. It's easy to generate that goodwill. It's easy to be viewed as a good owner when you spend money, you acquire the best talent. Nobody is going to get on you for that. Things are going to be easy. Where things become difficult, where you show that you are a good owner, because it's not really being a good owner to spend money and to acquire free agents. That's what you're supposed to do as an owner. You own a basketball team, you own a sports organization, you want to win. The way you win, you spend money, you acquire the best talent, however that is done, trades, free agency, draft, develop, however it is, you want the best talent on your team, your coaches, your nutrition staff, your wellness staff, your front office, across the board, business ops, you want the best of the best, right? You go out and acquire talent. What makes you a good owner is how you deal with adversity, is how you deal with problems, is how you deal with conflict, how you deal with when things aren't going well. Are you still that steady hand? Are you still that positive influence? Are you still that positive force? Can you make the right decision in those moments? This is one of those moments for Matt Ishbia. This is one of those moments where we will find out if he is a good owner or not. Because to me, a good owner waves the white flag and admits defeat on this experiment. It's not working. 31 games into this season, year 2 of this, they're on the outside looking in of the playoff picture. Not play-in tournament, which was, by the way, the conversation we were having last year. Would they be in the play-in tournament? Would they be able to sneak in as the 6th seed? How would it? That was the conversation. We're not even having that conversation. That conversation's off the table. We're just trying to be in the play-in tournament at this point. You got blown out in Denver. You were able to come home on Christmas and salvage a little something by returning the favor to Denver. You didn't blow them out, but you beat them. And then you lost to a Luka-less Mavs team. And then this past weekend, you blew a 9-point lead with 6 minutes to go against the Warriors, a team that before the game was directly behind you in the standings. You now flipped, they're in, you're out. That's what you've done just in the last 4 games. But we are 31 games into the season, and we are having not just the same conversation, but I think a worse conversation. Because at least last year, it was, all right, they're the 6 seed or the 5 seed, and they oscillate between the 7 or 8 in the play-in tournament, and then getting the ability to avoid that, and they go back and forth. We're not having that conversation. We're having a conversation of, can this team make the playoffs? Because now it's Devin Booker's turn to be sidelined. He's missed the last couple of games. He's now a part of that 7-13 when all of the big 3 aren't playing. They've all now taken turns. On your son's injury bingo, all 3 members of the big 3 now have missed time due to injury. We're not talking about 10% of the season. We're not talking about a 5-game sample size. This is 31 games, and this is now year 2 of the same thing happening to this team. And even when they are healthy, there are question marks about this team. There are question marks about their defense. There are question marks about how consistent their offense can be. There are questions of this team at full strength. Problem is, we can't see them enough at full strength to truly have those conversations. Do you remember at the beginning of the year when everything was going well and they were healthy and they were off to that great start, and we said, this is awesome, this is great start, season of redemption, and we said, if we're going to nitpick, hey, stop giving up early leads and having to dig yourself out of a hole because that's going to come back to bite you late. We were nitpicking because they were playing well, but we were looking at it through the lens of championship caliber. What about this team is championship caliber at this point? What about it? They don't have championship caliber health. They have a team that 20 of their 31 games so far have been without the team that is supposed to be on the floor. Is that going to all of a sudden get better in 2025? Is the health going to all of a sudden get better for this team? It was a problem last year. It's a problem this year. Kevin Durant, while he's trying his darndest, he is a 36-year-old superstar that can't do it every single night, needs somebody else to step up. And Bradley Beal has not shown consistently enough to be that guy that has stepped up. And now the person who you would look to be that number 2 is hurt. It's just every single time you start to believe once again. Every single time you start to think maybe, just maybe, this time it's going to be different. This stretch is going to be where this team turns the corner. Something else happens. You barely start a game before somebody else gets hurt. Or before it even tips, somebody goes down during the week and then doesn't play. Something always seems to knock this team off course, off track. And so we made the proclamation, it was now 2 weeks ago. This team, first-round exit in the playoffs. Right now, they wouldn't even have the opportunity to be a first-round exit in the playoffs. And I can't tell you a fancy way for them to fix this. You want me to say just get healthy? The Heat have come out and said they're not trading Jimmy Butler. Now, that could change. Jimmy Butler could force his way out. But then you have Bradley Beal's no-trade clause. And there are too many layers to that. So if that's off the table, what else is out there? What else can this team do to improve their roster? Not a whole lot. They are stuck. This is the way they were put together. They are going to succeed or fail with this group. And if there are thoughts about trying to tweak it, maybe trying to move Bradley Beal, then the right thing to do is to blow it up. But as we sit here today, with 2 days left in 2024, I don't think that is a realistic conversation that is being had in this building. I don't know what it is going to take for that conversation to become real, but you have a team right now that has a 29.2% chance of making the playoffs, according to ESPN. They started the year at 62.5. If this isn't the time to sound the alarms. If this isn't the time to say it is put up or shut up time, you've got 2 weeks. Maybe we'll give you the month of January. That's it. You have to do it now or else it's not going to happen. Time is going to run out, and there are not going to be enough options for this team. And then we get to the summertime. And if we get to the summertime and this was a failure for the second straight year and we start having conversations about running it back again, and that conversation I mentioned about Matt Ishbia being a good owner, again, it's easy to be a good owner when you make the big moves, you make the big splashes, you make the big trades, you spend a lot of money. It's hard to be a good owner and make the right decisions for the long-term future of your franchise while taking a little bit of short-term pain. And that is the collision course we are on right now. I just can't see it any other way with the way that this team plays.